Sunday afternoon. This is kind of the first day on this track of timber here. I was bored today and just figured I'd come cut some trees to get a jump on the week. I think we got 50 trees to cut here. Not a real big job, but one we've had on the books for a while. I know that's a pretty common opening line to any job I talk about, but we buy a lot of timber. Most of it, 90% of it, I pay for up front, write a contract on it, buy it while it's standing, and we just get to it when we can. Definitely, if you guys that know us, we're not a big production operation. We just kind of cut a few trees here and there. But some of these walnut, like this one here, they're not terrible. It's a little windy to be cutting today, honestly, but it's enjoyable. It's summertime. To me, it is. It was pushing 90 degrees yesterday, pushing 90 again today, and I hate hot weather and I hate summertime. So to me, this is summertime. But it's all in all, it's not bad. I'm just happy to be out here. Sometimes it's nice just to kind of be out here and be by yourself and cut trees at your own pace. And it's as odd as it sounds, it's kind of relaxing. And you know, the few of you guys that understand and get that, you understand and get that, but a lot of people won't, and that's okay. But we'll flip around here. So you can see my paint slash on the trees there. I've got paint slash. See that walnut there's got them. I'm parked over there. I've been cutting up through there. Of course, that big tree behind me, there's kind of a fence back there. You can kind of see that paint slash on that tree there, but that fence back there, we're gonna wait till I get the skidder, which it's up there at the other property. I moved it over here last week, or it's on the property up at the other end of the property, excuse me. We'll use it to kind of push some of these trees, and they're leaning back towards the fence. We've got kind of a southwest wind coming out of this direction anyway, so it's not helping our case there. This tree here, I wanted to do a little side note. So I knew this tree was gonna fall where it did, and big limbs like this can definitely pose a problem with walnut. Walnut's pretty brittle, it busts easy, especially in cold weather. This 90-degree weather, like I said, it'll still bust, but what I did here, and this is no secret, I cut into this quite a ways in there. That way when it fell, it went ahead and just kind of broke upwards and didn't worry about busting this tree. Now it's just a kind of a big rough lumber log. It's not any high grade or anything like that. It's a good log, but I still didn't want to bust it. Trees like this, they're gonna run good. They're gonna push probably 210, 215 on the average, maybe a little higher, trees like that. And you got trees like this down here that are probably gonna do 150-ish. So all in all, I'm hoping this set runs around, I'm hoping they do 180 is kind of what I'm hoping, what they average feet per tree. We'll see. We got quite a ways to go, and like I said, I'm just over here kind of tinkering around, so I'm not gonna try to break any production records. One thing's for sure, I have not posted a lot of videos in the last month. We've been extremely busy, and I've had a lot of people ask, you know, where's the videos? We miss your videos, and I mean, it's awesome to hear that. I'm always surprised that people enjoy watching these stupid things, because again, they're very poorly edited and made, and most of them are just me kind of rambling on, showing about the jobs we're doing. But social media for me is just, it's a hobby. I don't get rich or anything off making these videos. And honestly, a lot of times it's just kind of it's a lot of extra work to put them together, to film every day, to edit every night, to get them up. Sometimes it's nice to have a break from it all. I still try to post on our Facebook and Instagram every day, so you can still kind of see a little bit of what we're doing and where we're doing it at. But for the most part, I do YouTube just because I enjoy kind of interacting with people, and I do it just to kind of promote what we do and how we operate as a small company here in Southwest Missouri that travels into central and northern Missouri and Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa, parts of Oklahoma. But thank you guys so much for watching the videos. I know I say that a lot, and I truly mean it. I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. I'm not going to film much over here today. They're actually calling for some rain tonight, but we've been hearing that same little song and dance for a week here in my part of the world with very, very, very little rain. But I'm going to go ahead and get this video up. I'm going to show you some clips that I've started from the last month that I'm just going to kind of piece together in a video. All the way from a bee tree where I got the ever-living stuff stung out of me on a bee tree about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I've got some footage of that, and just some stuff from Orick, Missouri, Lincoln, Missouri, just places we've worked in the last month. And if you follow the socials, you know where we've been and what we've been doing, cutting this brown wood for the most part and some white oak as well. But guys, thanks a lot, and I'll try to get this posted up tonight, and hopefully we'll see more of you this week. It's been an eventful Monday, to say the least. We started cutting this white oak today. This is some steep ground. I know it don't look steep, but for a fat kid like me, this is steep. So when we started cutting, how I usually cut my timber, I like to go to the back and work my way front, especially one of these big, long, deep ravines that run a ways. So the lower end where I was cutting, everything cut bad. We couldn't pull a stave log out of that white oak to save our life. It was just blocking material and probably firewood, honestly. So then I told Dad, I said, I don't know what to do. I said, I hate to start at the front, work our way back, but if these white oak ain't gonna cut good, there ain't no even cutting them. Just leave them here. It's too pretty of a timber stand. Just come through here and massacre it, not to really be good for anything. We'll just leave it for the habitat. It's pretty timber. So we come up here, the front, these white oak are cutting good, but tragedy strikes. Now, that log you see laying right over there on the ground, you zoom in, I cut one right next to it. Good trees, real good trees. Well, they've fallen down in that kind of ravine right there. So as I was going to cut that off, I seen some bees. And I thought, oh, good God. So I started running, but not before I got stung a few times. And I'm sure if we'd had it on video, it'd probably been a pretty funny video, because Dad was sitting up here on top of the hill in the Ranger. So I went hot-footing it up there, like to had a heart attack before I got away from him. So we come back after lunch, and I kind of started just a little ways from that tree. Just kind of let them calm down. Everything's going good. These trees are cutting good. So I'm going to cut this big tree right here. But right before I cut it, we can zoom in and see them there. You see them bees working? There's bees in that tree too. Look at them there. That is the first time in my life. Now I'm sure we'll get somebody on here that says they see this every time. They've seen it since the 1800s when they started logging. But this is the first time I've ever seen two bee trees that close together. There's a pretty good group of them up there. Like I said, they're working right in there. And I wish these bees, I know this is a little far-fetched, I wish they'd put a sign up, like a vacancy sign. Even coons, anything that had a den tree. If the bees, like, if they seen me out here logging, if they would just come up to me and say, hey, this is our tree, please don't cut this. I'd be like, you got it, Mr. Bee. Mr. Bees, I won't cut your tree. But I always cut it. And by the time I know they're there, they're extremely angry and they've got the lynch mob out. And they're after me. But I was honestly just getting, I went from this tree right there, that stump, walking up to this one, just getting ready to stick a saw in it. And I seen those guys swarming. I was like, nope, we're not going through this again. Rough, rough, rough. Every now and then I still hang up a tree. I kind of missed my calculations. I really thought I could edge that red oak there, and as you can see, I didn't. So I've been working at the bottom of these draws, working my way uphill. Jimmy's gonna back in there, grab it down. Pretty good little bunch of white oak here. Nothing super big, just tall and slick. Some of them are cutting a little ornery at the butt of, a foot or two off the butt of them. I have to butt them off the butt. Cut a foot or two off the butt there. We'll put that in layman's terms. is the Murphy service truck leaving for the second time today. We've had some problems with this H model again. Minor problems, but problems nonetheless. We're up here at Oric, Missouri, cutting a job that I've had bought for about a year now. This should have been about a day-and-a-half deal. 50 trees, a lot of them are kind of in areas you got to winch out, so that's what's making it slower. But when we started this, Kenny and I and Mikey came up here last Monday. So about 10 days ago, we started on this job. And we came up here and we had problems right out of the gate with that skidder. We thought it was low pressure pump. That mechanic, that John Deere mechanic there, he's a real good dude. I mean, he is like truly one of the mechanics that's helpful and tries to help you get back up and going. So I called him, and you know, he's first thing was low pressure fuel pump. We noticed it wasn't pumping much fuel, so we thought, put it on, wasn't the problem. Tried to get it going, it ran for just a little bit, then it died. It run for a little bit, then die. I was throwing some codes, had to do with the ECU, security. Turned out they just put a new ECU in it, engine control unit, which are not cheap, by the way. But that's one of those skidders that we picked up from that place down there in southern Missouri. And come to find out, it had a reman engine in it, and it did all right, but it was out of a combine, and it was actually originally a Tier 4 engine, and they didn't bother. They took all the admission stuff off that engine, stuck it in that skidder. Of course, the ECUs didn't match, and it's a miracle it ran as long as it did on what it did. But again, ECU flashing it seemed to have fixed it. It's running better now than it ever has since we've had it. But yeah, so just goes to show you, putting an engine out of the combine in a log skidder, which I know it's probably the same. It is the same engine, 6.8 liter, 6068, but those ECUs, that doesn't work. Anyway, we're gonna drag some logs, try to get this job close to being done today. We want done and out of here. We got so much to do, so much to do. We need to get on to the next one. This job is way longer than it should have. Bark's slipping bad. These trees here we've had on the ground for over a week, and we're just now dragging them out, and the bark's still slipping bad. So we used to have a theory, if you cut those trees and let them lay a few days, that bark could tighten up. I don't know, it ain't working too good here. Get this gate shut so the livestock stays. Back in the afternoon here, the H is running good. Glad the ECU was seemed to be the fix, even though it wasn't cheap. And I guess all things considered anymore, maybe it was a cheap breakdown. He's just getting one. I know it's kind of ridiculous in that age, but we're kind of congested in here. It's hard to get them bunched together to make a drag, but he's literally going right out there where he's kind of bunching out there. So let's touch on this. Look at the color of this walnut here. Thin sapped. Yeah, we had a little pull there on the side, up there on the bark. Not gonna hurt that. That is a good looking log right there. Good color. Cut that one this morning. Nice tall tree. Good looking wood here in the Oric, Richmond, Missouri area. I thought we'd find some mushrooms today, but we have not. Although we did see some mushroom hunters earlier when we were working over here on the train tracks. We didn't ask them if they were finding any. Mikey and I actually come across a pretty good mess last week in Polo. I don't know if I covered that earlier in this video, but if I didn't, now you know. Just cut the last tree of the job. I've got just a few, kind of like honeydews. Some things I told the landowner I'd take care of for. One of them, I'll show you right here. It's a hard leaning sycamore tree. That thing's got a bad spot in it. It's hollow. Now I've already cut into it, and the way it was, I really couldn't notch and hinge it with no more than its holes in it, and the hard it leans. So I just kind of cut into it to relieve pressure. And I'm hoping the 648 here can just tap it on over. She wants it so she can get her tractor under it. She got a little road here. She got a little bitty tractor. I'm might have to touch on it again, but it was starting to gap pretty good there. We'll see what we can do here. Oh yeah. Those things could be dangerous, especially when they're, you know, if that thing would have been solid, it wouldn't have been such a big deal to put a hinge in it. But you can kind of see up there, maybe. You can see how bad it is. There just ain't a whole lot holding it there. So we'll go ahead and back up. Just drag that thing out of the way. And that'll about have us done. I smoothed the road up for it, the skidder. That thing was washed out and rutted up real bad. So hopefully she can get up and down it with ease now until the next big toad strangling rain comes along anyway. There we go, we got a hold of her. We're just going to take it across the creek over here to a brush pile. The road I slicked up. Pearl Creek, we ain't had a lot of rain in our part of the world, and it's starting to show. My 548, but just the sheer muscle in these 648Hs and the dual arch graphics